Hello everybody, and welcome to my first ever Duels card review. Now there was a patch today, patch 27.4.2, and it was a doozy. But if you look behind me, you will not see cards from patch 27.4.2. And why is that? Well, let's look at these cards. So, Elixir of Vigor. After you play a minion, shuffle 2 copies of it into your deck. They cost 2. Okay, seems cool for like decks that want to play like big minions. Draw a mech. The next mechs you play costs 2 less. Draw a mech. It costs 2 less. So the interesting thing is that the Duels community didn't see this interaction until like 2 days ago. But 2 days ago, this was like 2 of my games in all my day playing Duels. And then yesterday, well, that was like 3 days ago. And then yesterday, it was over half of my games. And all of my losses were to decks playing Elixir of Vigor, Tram Operator, and Timeline Accelerator. And just any other shell you can think of. Drekthar Warlock definitely seems to be the best way to do this, but I've seen it run from mini classes. We are hoping that because there was a patch just recently, that this is something that can be addressed in a hotfix, but unfortunately, most of the changes that we are going to talk about today aren't going to make much of an impact other than making Infinite Elixir combo better. So, with that in mind, let's talk about the changes anyway. Because there's, still plenty to do. And I'm sorry that I just have a browser window today. It's not what I intended to do. Oh gosh. And but this is this is just what we're gonna get out today. Now, so the first big change is that Dino tracking is discover a beast, give it +1/+1. So discover a beast still isn't ideal with the Discover Treasures, because a lot of Discover Treasures care about spells. But this is good with Starving back in Pool 1. And Starving back to after the first time a friendly beast dies in your turn, draw a card. This looks like I can see Beast Bran being good. Although, we'll note, Special Delivery is ultra rare now. So we won't be able to see just endless, doubled rush minions. So they'll have to find another way to win the game other than just endless token copies. Corrupted Fellstone, getting a buff to, after you cast a Fell spell, give the left and right most minions in your hand +2/+1. We're going to see some big Sethinos in the coming days. Again, with Infinite Elixir combo being as prevalent as it is, I don't see that mattering much, but once that's patched, I definitely think that Demon Hunter will have fun with this. I've always thought that Warlock could use Corrupted Fellstone, but probably not still. Unlocked Potential, ultra rare. I might have had a hand in this because Unlocked Potential wasn't played in Warlock until I came along, but we all know that 3 mana 10/10 Battlecry kill a minion is a real problem. Because there is, of course, a card called Warmark Challenger that is normally a 3 mana 1/2 Battlecry, fight a minion to the death. But when it's a 10/10, it's a lot bigger. Unlocked Potential, sorry, I don't have a graphic up. For those who don't know, is at the start of the game, set the health of all minions in your deck equal to their, set the attack of all minions in your deck equal to their health. So the big deal there is that you could play 1 mana 0/4s or 0 mana 0/3s and just get out lots of stats very early. Both Warlock and Warrior had ways to cheese it. Now, I will say I don't think that moving it to ultra rare is the correct choice here. Synergy-based passives, I will bang on about this forever. Synergy-based passives don't belong in ultra rare because it's impossible to build around them in such a way that you're trying to get it and you get it because it's ultra rare. But on the other hand, if you're not building around it, the way that ultra rares are offered, it will get offered to you when it's almost useless. Especially because we know unlocked potential was fairly easy to trigger. So when you do roll ultra rares, it's pretty likely you'll get unlocked potential if you just have even a couple more minions with big butts. And it's not going to be good because we're not going to hard build our decks around it. As we've seen, unlocked potential has never been good unless every minion in your deck is good with it. So I don't think we should have it in ultra rare. I don't think we should have any passives in ultra rare that are better for certain decks than others. It should just be crazy things that happen irregularly. Now, moving on, Caverns Below has been banned. This is good. Essentially, with both Into the Scrap Heap, 2 mana spell, get 3 Spark Bots into your hand, and Ram Commander, 2 mana 2/2, add 2 1/1 Rams to your hand. With both of these cards, in the same deck, it meant that you only needed a Shadow Step to complete the Caverns Below. And that meant that it was much easier to complete than it really had any right being. And of course, it was easy to get all your minions have poisonous. It was easy to get all your neutrals have +1/+1. It was easy to get, whenever you kill a minion, summon a 1/1. All of these just insanely good with Caverns Below. So, rather than trying to nerf around it and change some of the other passives, we're just banning the card. I can understand why you would do this. I am sad because I played Caverns Below in Reno with fire spells and triggered Firekeeper's Idol, which is whenever you cast a fire spell, summon a 1/2 flame elemental and put one in your hand. You could use this to cheese Caverns Below in, I feel, a much more fair way because you would have to play 4 fire spells by turn 4 fire spells and 4 1-drops by turn 5, which is a little harder, but still, the Caverns Below, just too good. Always has been, although it has been a pet deck of mine. So moving on, Hunters can now be offered Arcane passives, and Warriors can now be offered Fire passives. Now that's interesting. Was anyone aware that Hunters couldn't be offered Arcane passives and Warriors couldn't be offered Fire passives? Because I certainly wasn't. I'm glad that that's fixed, because I've certainly tried to build an Arcane Hunter, and Arcane Flux would be very good in Hunter. So I'm excited to try out an Arcane Hunter after this change. Now, I don't know if Fire Warrior is really going to be good enough, but we'll see if that is the case. Now, moving on to the card changes in general, we're going to discuss how these affect duels first and foremost. We will, of course, assume that the busted Infinite Vigor deck is fixed. So, Movement of Pride. Symphony of Sins is banned in duels, but I bet my Standard and Wild Brethren will love this change, so that's great. This Coppertail Snoop was good in duels, but Mech Rogue wanted to run neutrals a lot of the time. So, Coppertail Snoop not as key, but still good. I feel like it's probably less likely it gets run now, especially that it's a 3/2. But we'll see how that goes. Spitelash Siren. I can't remember the last time I've seen a spell coiling deck in duels. I've tried. I think it's fun, but I don't know. I guess it's just not good enough. Random 1-drops. So Starstrong Bow down to 5/2. The few hunter decks that run secrets, I think will be slightly worse, you know, about 2 damage worse. But I think Secret Hunter is still strong. And I think Arcane Hunter, specifically Arcane Bran, well, no, not Arcane Bran. Yeah, probably not Bran. But Arcane Hunter is going to be very strong because Arcane Flux, of course, after the first time you cast an arcane spell in a turn, discover a card from your class. That's going to be very strong in Hunter. Discovering lots of burn, discovering additional celestial shots, all that kind of stuff. You will run Star Strongbow in that deck most likely, because Titanforge Traps is so good. And it will be slightly worse. And I think that's probably fine. Craftsman's Hammer, Bomb Warrior could always get a little worse. I don't care how bad it is, it could always get worse. That's my stance on that. Sanitize, 5 mana. You heard what I just said. I mean, I gotta be honest, I'm a little sad about this in Standard, but I understand that Odin Warrior has been overpowering. Contaminated Lasher never really made a home for itself in Duels, and it certainly won't at this cost. It's just too conditional and too expensive for what it is. Gadget Zan, like I said, never really found a home in Duels, and definitely won't now. Chamber of Viscidus will still probably be a very good card in some of the decks that run it. I expect that Willow will probably have a better time running Chamber of Viscidus now, because I had a lot of experience playing Willow, and I can tell you that if you ran this card, you were like no deck left on turn 6 and 2 charges of Chamber left most games. It was absolutely ridiculous. So this being a little slower and a little weaker, I think will actually make it a little more reasonable in Duels. Of course, once the decks that are running it and using it with the Infinite Vigor combo are removed, I think it'll be more fair. Dark Bargain has been very strong in Duels lately. This is a much needed change. Discard Warlock has been strong. I've been making it stronger, and it's time that it gets a little worse. And Tiny Knight of Evil right there, +2/+1 instead of +2/+2, gets a little worse. So that's good, I think. Discard Warlock won't be so overpowering. It still will get offered far too many Silverware Golems, but there's not much we can do about that unless they remove Karazhan buckets. Or overhaul the bucket system entirely again. Blast from the Past. This just shouldn't be allowed in Duels, frankly. Bomb Warrior shouldn't be getting more ways to shovel bombs. But making it worse is another way to make it less prevalent. Although we weren't seeing too many warriors running it because it doesn't grant you armor. Just the bomb density was very useful in certain decks. Ivory Rook, see this a lot in Taunt Warrior. It just being a 4/3 means it's a little easier to answer. Now, Taunt Warrior was not too strong, although I have seen Taunt Warriors running the Infinite Elixir lock, or the Infinite Elixir combo, and those usually use taunts, so that will be worse. Jade Telegram. Jade Rogue never really found a home in Duels, so we're not looking at anything too spicy here. I'm not sure why the Scarab Lord never found a home in Rogue. Maybe it was because the Caverns Below was just so nutty. But if Rogue starts doing other things, maybe we'll see a slightly weaker Scarab Lord come to the forefront. It's still a strong card. It's, 4 mana, 11/11. I think still very strong card. Blade of Cthulhu. Again, Rogue, the Caverns cards in Rogue haven't really seen any play. I would be interested in seeing a Cthulhu Rogue in Duels, but The problem is there's no passives to target. There's no hero powers that are good with it. So I just don't know what the strategy would be there. You never can play cards like Trial of the Jormungers because you just can't tutor reliably in a duels deck. Because you're going to be adding bad cards to your deck. You know, that's just the way it is. Spirit of the Frog. I haven't seen this one, but there have been a lot of Nature Shamans. I think Nature Shamans probably just are doing better off with their passives than what Spirit of the Frog can offer. Now, Firemancer Flirticle, this is going to be a big nerf to the Shutterwalk Finleys that have been running around. But I don't think anyone other than somebody in my Discord are going to care too much about that. Shutterwalk Finley will probably find a way to carry on, but not having just an unconditional board clear and Shaman is going to be a problem. Scargill, this doesn't really matter. Whoa. This doesn't really matter. Shadow Essence doesn't really matter. I'm surprised about this for Wild even. This seems an odd choice, but please, Wild players, if you know why this is getting nerfed, I would love to know. Cabal Lackey would be happy to see this nerfed in duels. Secret Reno is insanely strong, and I feel like the only reason Cabal Lackey hadn't been run yet is because we just hadn't like realized how to get Mean Streets of Gadgets and buckets working for us. Mech Warper, been banned in duels, now only legal in Twist and solo adventures. Interesting choice. Tony, King of Piracy, banned in Wild. Yeah, that's just the way it is. The Plague DK was already doing well in duels, and I feel like these changes, removing the Frost rune from both of these cards, is only going to make that better. Unholy buckets are good, especially in duels. So that's great. I don't know if we'll see Frost Queen Syndragosa make a resurgence in duels. I think you would have to be wanting to run legendaries or Elixir of Vigor to play this, but we'll see. Tears was generated sometimes by certain cards and effects, and I'll be very happy now that this resurrects minions from your class. It will be much easier to use it when generated by Book of Wonders, although don't get me started on Book of Wonders. But, you know, it will be better. Tyrion, I can see reasons to run Tyrion. There are taunts, he's a legendary, he's a divine shield, he's a death rattle. I'm afraid, honestly, that running him might trigger death rattle and legendary passives unnecessarily, especially because he's a legendary that equips a legendary weapon. And yes, I do believe that the treasure system sees that. So I'm not sure, but this has a possibility of being very good in Divine Shield Paladin if they can afford to run an 8-drop. Lord Jaraxxus, moving to 8 mana. You can now hero power when you play Lord Jaraxxus, but do you want to? Most of the time, Warlock is using hero powers that win it the game in duels. But a lot of those either draw you cards, which you want to stop doing at a certain point, or tutor you cards, which you can't continue doing after a certain point. So I think Lord Jaraxxus could make a resurgence, but it's still a lot of mana, you know? We're running Sargeras right now, so maybe this is, like, easier to use than a Sargeras. We'll see. We'll see. Cenarian Hold. Definitely can see this making a name for itself in duels now that it's at a reasonable cost. Dragonfire Potion, never really seen... Oh, well, I guess they only recently added Mean Streets, but Dragonfire Potion at 5 mana deal 5, very, very good. There are dragon passives in duels. I would be interested in trying a Dragon Elucia or Dragon Elise after this patch. with Dragonfire Potion as a one-sided board clear. Bronze Dragon Knight. I don't think this one is going to see much play, although there are hand buffy decks in Paladin. You would kind of need a passive that buffs it all on its own, and it's hard to guarantee that without just building a deck of 16 minions and praying. Nature Shaman will definitely love Elemental Destruction down to Overload 2. That's finally a reasonable cost for it. And then we've got Elixir at 8 armor. I've always wanted to see if we could run Elixir in duels. Tutoring all these types of minions could be very useful. And I'm not going to talk about Battlegrounds, but that is the changes, at least as far as duels are concerned. I just want to... Oh, that was the wrong one. Wrong button. I just want to reiterate that I am enjoying the patch cadence as far as duels is concerned. We are getting lots more changes to duels. I just wish they would be... They've been very aggressive and making really forward changes that shake things up. They've added anomalies to Standard and Twist. They made Caverns below for Twist and Wild, or Caverns of Time for Twist and Wild. But it feels like Duels has sort of stagnated as far as the buckets and passives are concerned. I'm liking that we're getting more nerfs and buffs that are relevant to duels. I really like that, and I hope we continue to do that. But I'm not a fan of just making certain passives less likely to trigger by either making them ultra rare or just by making them worse at triggering, because that just makes synergy-based decks running around that strategy either impossible or very, very feast or famine. And also, with the way that passives are offered in this game, when you activate a passive that's ultra rare, it often has nothing to do with your deck. And when you're seeing ultra rare treasures as being offered that require specific deck building constraints, that's not good, because you're not going to get offered it very likely when it's relevant to you. You know, we're seeing specific tribes or types or specific spell schools, you know, or specific types of cards in synergies that are in ultra rare passives now, and what it means is that it just means that ultra rare passives are worse, and that's not what you want. And I just don't think we're at the spot we want to be at with it. Now, I love duels, and I'm gonna keep playing duels for a very long time, but if you don't see me playing for a couple days, it's probably because they haven't fixed the Infinite Elixir deck, which you can see right behind me. Please, Blizzard, patch it. Alright, thank you very much, and I hope to see you on my next stream. Bye! Bye, 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 bye.